were in some ways fearless. We were idealistic. We were young. We wanted to make a difference in the world. We wanted to make a difference in the community. And the thing that I have to praise about Gordon is that he stuck with it. He stuck with it for over 3 decades.
The ability to plan the future with imagination and wisdom seems common in a world of dreamers. But having the spirit to execute one's ideas into boundless reality is a rare gift. Well into his 4th decade of achieving such innovative reality, Gordon Chin started out his professional journey amid other idealists of his time, but knew that his vision deserved merit. As his creation embarks on its 35th year, the Chinatown Community Development Center can celebrate years of dedicated planning and growth that have led to this moment in history. The Chinatown community endured many hardships when speaking to space and land use, especially when it was physically destroyed in the 1906 earthquake. Chinatown continued to grow in population despite its lack of adequate space and proper living conditions in the decades to follow. As a Bay Area native, Gordon Chin was all too familiar with the struggles of Chinatown, beneath the facade of energetic tourists, active storefronts, and hard-working residents. Something had to break this cycle and spark positive change.
So when we started Chinatown CDC, which at that time was known as the Chinatown Resource Center, in 1977, it was very thrilling to be able to work with so many different segments of our community. Seniors, immigrant families, single working adults, and youth. To come together to speak with a common voice, to serve not only their individual needs, but their collective needs.
At its onset, the newly formed not-for-profit advocated for affordable housing, tenants' rights, open space, transportation, and neighborhood revitalization. The benefits of the hard work eventually migrated beyond Chinatown and into neighborhoods throughout San Francisco.
The San Francisco Foundation, in fulfillment of its mission, not surprisingly, gave the Chinatown CDC one of its first grants when it was a notion of a community development corporation. And here we are, almost 4 decades later, looking at an extraordinary legacy, but also an organization that has transformed CDCs across the country.
We have roughly 60 groups in the 9 Bay Area counties that are similar to Chinatown CDC. No one is as unique as they are. No entity, I think, is as enduring as they are, and no one has the deep bench that Chinatown CDC has, and that's Gordon's leadership that attracts people who want to come there and work there, and they stay and they stay and they stay.
You can never have enough leadership, a favorite mantra of Gordon Chin. These simple words truly embody the course of the Chinatown CDC. Not only do they capture the structure of the organization itself, these words also symbolize all that the organization has done to furnish other communities across the country with a successful model.
I've got to thank Gordon for so many things, for not just his decades of leadership in the district that I am honored to represent, not just the thousands of units of housing that he and his team have been able to build, not just the thousands, probably tens of thousands of San Franciscans that you have impacted, but this man has cultivated so many community leaders in San Francisco.
Young people can serve this community in many ways. Regardless of what career they may have, they can serve the community on their own time or in a professional manner. They can volunteer for the parade. They can do home visits for the seniors. They can volunteer at the food bank. They can go work for a big bank or investment bank and make a lot of money and then donate to nonprofit organizations.
With numerous groundbreaking accomplishments, the Chinatown CDC has a lot to rejoice as it prepares for a future under new leadership.
Chinatown CDC is so important to the city and to our neighborhood, and we've got to keep the championship going. It doesn't get much better. I get to work with youth, senior leaders like Mrs. Chan. I get to work with old-time community development leaders like Gordon Chin. I get to work with staff that are younger than my kids. It doesn't get better than that. Together, collectively, Chinatown CDC is about movement building to help build affordable housing, build good neighborhood programs, empower people like Mrs. Chan, youth, and others that never get their voices heard. You don't see them in the history books, but they're heroes and heroines. I always say that.
I met Gordon Chin in an alleyway. What we did there will be our secret. But there was a lot more alleyways born out of our relationship. I'm so thankful to have been associated with Gordon, because his legacy now also becomes part of mine, becomes part of yours, and becomes part of the history of the city.
While San Francisco and Chinatown are on the cusp of a new decade filled with several improvements, like the new Central Subway, the housing stock in the city is aging rapidly. These changes will force the Chinatown CDC to again be at the leadership forefront in shaping the future for its community, expanding its planning capacity, and developing a new master plan and strategy targeted at both new construction and rehabilitation of existing housing. With this strategy in motion, the Chinatown CDC will continue to build leadership, build housing, and build and preserve communities for the residents of San Francisco.